Now that we've finished our private discussion about public pissing and child abuse, I'm Eric Paul Johnson,
And I'm Eric Winsenson.
and we got a mishmash of comments this week. Um, there's the first one up is from Corey about Long Black Road. Who seems to have problems with replying on time, even when we give him an extra day, because the last Zoomcast was on Wednesday. We usually do them on Tuesdays. He didn't get his comment until like around the time that we were recording that week's Zoomcast. So here's Corey with his little comment about Long Black Road.
Okay, so Corey and his comment about huge black,
No, no,
long
no,
black, what?
no. You just skip right over that. Yeah.
I was going to talk about clocks.
Oh, okay.
I love those old grandfather clocks and stuff.
Right. The long.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the director of American Hustle talking about Jeff Lynne. We're not doing the recording. I'm not doing my mouth up against it. Okay.
Yeah.
That just sounded wrong too. Anyway, the director of American Hustle talking about Jeff Lynne. Most of the music is scripted prior to writing the scenes, and some of it was even played on the set. While you're shooting the scene, you create a little mood. I'll play a little music on my iPad to create a spell or break a spell. Jeff Lynne, the founder of E.L.O, happened to have a song called Overture 10538. I know it's backwards. That's the way that the director said it. Which turned out to be the zip code where I grew up, which is a very freaky thing. Very freaky thing just happened on my computer.
Oh dear.
Okay. He loved the film, and he opened up unreleased tracks to us, and that was just like magic. So we have classic sounding songs that have never seen the light of day, such as Long Black Robe. Okay. Tracks that he's been sitting on for years. Nothing like knowing the songs on the soundtrack. You awkward bastard. How do you not know these titles as director-writer? Thank you, Corey. Anyway, nice to see these songs on the Muscle America soundtrack. So Corey was getting as frustrated as I was with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Overture
I'm the
10.
biggest Jeff Lynne fan. I really like that Blowout album.
I'll tell you what my favorite E.L.O song is. It's a grasp on tightly to your fantasies. That's a great song.
Yeah. Also, that one that they had back with the Akator album.
Mm-hmm.
Can't head it out of my get or something.
Yeah. It drives me nuts when people say, "Oh my God, my favorite song is Teenage Wasteland," and I'm just, it's your favoriteest song. How can you not know the title?
It sounds best if you have vinyls.
Yeah, it's Baba O'Reilly, you dimwit. How can you not know the title of your favoriteest song? Ugh. Anyway, that's something that drives me nuts. Move on to some comments here about Zoom, the album. Mark Jealous. Oh, and Mark Jealous is replying to Mike Hudson. I enjoyed the album and certainly glad he did it. Difficult to perform anything with the same gusto in your 50s as it is in your 20s and 30s, of course. I have found that lyrics become more meaningful later in life. This podcast and the banter it has generated has allowed me to think more about meaning. Some bring different thoughts to different people. Depends on what memories they bring back, really. I've certainly found more in some of the later songs, and the reflection very cathartic. Well, thank you for the podcast compliment that we've been making you think more about the lyrics and all that other stuff. That's good. We're doing our job. I don't know how old you are, Mark Jealous, but I am 52, and I'm not dead. You know, I got my bass guitar right here. I could play the bass to Don't Bring Me Down with as much gusto as I could in my 20s and 30s
Can you play the bass
if I
part?
don't
Don't
reach
bring me down.
with that shoulder. All right. I can still play the fife in my life as well as
That
I
was
did
not
in my
scripted.
20s. Um, yeah, you know, it's 50s. It's not dead. And it's not like there's a lot of Jeff Lynne songs where I'm thinking breaking the law. Judas Priest. I'm just, as someone who's 52, I'm kind of like, you can't perform the same gusto as you did in your 20s and 30s. Yeah, you can. Or not dead. I had a whole rant lined up, and then my shoulder hurt me.
I said that was not a scripted moment. We can still perform the same. I'm not dead. I'm 52 and I can still perform. Well, let's just put it this way. Indiana Jones 5 is delayed because Harrison Ford got hurt doing one of his own stunts.
Yes, but he is coming up fast on his 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but that's kind of my point is he's still doing his own stunts.
William Shatner is 90 and he's still doing pratfalls in movies.
Horse riding every day
And
and
riding horses, yeah. Okay. I do have my bass, and for Don't Bring Me Down, I didn't rehearse anything, and it's been a long time since I played it, so if I had bothered to, I could have played it for you with just as much gusto as I had in my 20s, or as much as Kelly Grocott. Mr. Blue Sky, too, I play that pretty well, but it's
just
been...
don't try to do a Dave Ellefson performance for the video.
I, I don't know who that is.
That's the bass player for Megadeth.
Yeah, no. Even in my
No,
20s, I couldn't do that.
well, no, he had a recent performance on video that nobody wanted to see.
Oh, really? I can't do it as fast as him or them. So,
Let's just say he's out of the band for that performance.
Aaron, at our YouTube page, the Electric Light Orchestra podcast channel, go subscribe. Again, we've bumped up another one subscriber. I think we're at 146, 147. So go subscribe. Every episode, every Zoomcast, it's all there.
Okay, so our family in motion.
No. Oh,
What?
I jumped ahead.
You jumped ahead.
I did. I skipped
I'm
all
where I'm
the way.
supposed to be.
I skipped all the way to Eldorado. That's right, Our Family in Motion. Yes,
Right.
that's the next one, and also from the YouTube page.
Yeah, I was about to say you have not read Mark Jellis's Eldorado comment yet.
No, I jumped.
Okay, so our family in motion says, "Love your podcast. Love you for all your hard work. Have you considered an occasional topic-based episode? For example, do some of the E.L.O. albums form musical and/or lyrical trilogies? What are your top 5 E.L.O. albums? An analysis of the stories of Eldorado and Time. Again, thank you so much for all your hard work." We have done some stuff on Patreon where there's some little asides, which you can listen to for what about was it $2 a month?
Yeah, $2. No, $2 per expanded episode, and
Yes.
then $1 per regular episode. But you get those regular episodes a week before everybody else gets them. So you'll be in the know and be part of the cool people who like, yeah, I heard that last week because I'm a Patreon, and you're a loser who gets it free through the other podcast places. You have to wait. That's
As for Eldorado and Time, we kind of went into that a little bit in those, but if you really want to get into a lot of that, Pam Van Allen wrote an entire book based on Eldorado.
mhm.
And Corey has an unproduced screenplay for Time, which Eric Paul kind of summarized.
Yeah,
Bit.
I very, very serialized it. There was a lot of stuff I cut out because I wanted to keep them at least under a minute. Topic-based episode. We did one for Electric Light Orchestra Part 2 on the Patreon, and this is one of the $2 episodes. I did a show counting down the top 33 E.L.O. singles that charted in America. And number one may surprise you, because it surprised me. Because they only had 33 singles that charted in America. So I gave a little history about the song and its chart performance and play a snippet of the song, and that lasts about a half hour, I think. So there's that. As for other topic-based episodes, when we're all done with all the E.L.O. songs, I was thinking maybe once a month or once every couple months. No schedule set yet, really. That we'll do that, discuss an entire episode about Violinsky or Kelly Crockett solo album or Wilburys or Armchair Theater, the E.L.O. offshoot stuff that happened. So that stuff's planned in my head. See if it happens. It probably will.
We could also do one thing that I've been thinking of is pieces of Lynn. various hair follicles and toenail clippings and pieces of skin, stuff that might have fallen off of him during concert that people have collected, and
beard trimmings.
Because those people who have done that, we need to know their names. Everybody needs to know their names. Yes, it's called civic duty.
E.L.O. albums form musical or lyrical trilogies. I have brought that up before, that it seems like each period of E.L.O. has 3 albums. The early cello experimental stuff on the first 3 albums, the big classical stuff in Eldorado to a New World Record, which glides into the more radio-friendly top 40 commercial kind of stuff from Out of the Blue to Discovery. Then there's the heavy synth stuff from Time to Secret Messages. And I'm hoping Zoom through Foon is the end of this sort of stripped down trilogy, where it seems just basic guitar, drum, bass, singing, not much strings there. So hoping that ends, and the next album will be something awesome, where it sounds completely different than what Jeff has been regurgitating for 30 years.
Or it'll be a reworking of the last 3 albums.
Oh, come on, please no.
In a similar style, but with a dance beat.
Well, at least there might be something different. I don't know. Not to give any spoilers away, but I just suffered through Foon and Alone in the Universe yesterday for the podcast. So, analysis of the stories. I think we do that in the bonus tracks episode.
From Out of Nowhere.
Yeah, from out of nowhere. Just
the remix.
Yeah, it sounds like it came from nowhere.
From Out of Nowhere, house mixed.
Yep. Yeah. Well, at least it'll be different. Anyways, on to comments about last week's episode, the Eldorado instrumental medley. And Marcella said, I think we'll be coming across quite a few instrumental and rough mixes on the bonus track editions. It's always good to be able to delve behind the track and extra appreciate the musician's art. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, Bob. Hang on. Plenty to appreciate here. Yes, there's going to be quite a few instrumentals and some rough home demos. And I feel like I should congratulate myself, and Bob can pat me on my back, that we were able to talk for 10 minutes or longer in the expanded episodes about songs that were only like 30 to 40 seconds. So I'm impressed that we were able to squeeze that much out of such little songs.
Aaron Jansen says, to echo myself, Eldorado is the best album ever made. Just like the entire album, the medley flows into each song very well. My only beef with it is Boy Blue wasn't included. You're totally right. It's nice to hear all the arrangements. It's magical. I would love to hear all the album that way. If they ever did those grand reissues like they do for the Beatles, maybe we could get that. You made me search through my record/CD collection, and yeah, you're right. Eldorado, Time, Discovery, and Secret Messages were all a part of the 2001 reissue. For me, I much prefer the later reissues. They included a better background on what was happening at the time, and they were an actual booklet. The folding page hasn't aged well, almost to the point where I don't want to open them up anymore for Time in Eldorado. Just wish they could do a big documentary on E.L.O. like other bands have gotten. The Mr. Blue Sky documentary quickly glanced over the E.L.O. years. I'm tired of hearing about his post E.L.O. career. It's like those years meant more to him than the E.L.O. ones. I just want to learn more about those heyday years and who everybody was in the band and what made the Magnificent Seven gel so well, only to lead to eventual demise. Just like the fans deserve the orchestra again, we also deserve a proper in-depth documentary that isn't Jeff focused. Without Jeff, there's no E.L.O., but just like what Max said, Jeff is the sort of guy who took credit for everything. I am sure those other guys continually contributed, especially on the first three albums. Problem with an E.L.O. documentary is a lot of the times they want that documentary to have the beginning, the formative years, and then the best years, and then the years where they snorted everything up their nose, and then the kind of comeback after they've ran over a couple people with their car. Uh, there's there's a segment missing there for ELO.
Now, they weren't really big Coke hits. Yeah, I think mostly it was cigarettes and beer for them.
Yeah. So I think that's probably why they haven't done it, is because there's not the other than the lawsuits, which
Mm-hmm.
unless you're a fan of the band, lawsuits or you really love legal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, lawsuits are not always the most interesting part. It's usually either legalese or a bunch of grown men acting like they're 12-year-olds arguing over their toys.
Well, I mean, I I think you definitely have drama. I mean, you probably don't have to go into the details of the lawsuits. I mean, these guys worked together for, 15, 16, 17 years, and then there's a big, huge falling out. So there's your drama there if you're not going to be able to find you know, the crazy drug abuse and orgies that were happening on the buses and planes on the ELO tours. Yeah, the Mr. Blue Sky documentary, I was disappointed by that too, and for the same reason. I included a little segment about pre-ELO years, a little bit about the idol race, a little bit about the move. What I learned about that is the first time Jeff Lynne had a record made, and with the writing credits, it was, I believe, something like Geoffrey Lynne. I don't think there was an E at the end, and the Jeffrey was Geofry. It was not. Yeah, yeah. Jeff was all excited. Oh, this is great! The record, my first record. Who the hell is this? So a little bit of move. Oh, and then here it comes, the big ELO part. The ELO happened. Okay, and now we're going to spend about 45 minutes talking about what happened after ELO, which is stuff I already know. I mean, I had the advantage of being alive back then, so I get it if people who were born after 1989 or 2000, missed out on the hubbub and the big deal of the Wilburys and Cloud Nine and Orbison and Petty and that whole producing thing after that. But I know this stuff. I was there. It's stories I've heard 100 billion times. I think I mean, part of the problem with loving ELO in the 80s is, oh, who? Them? What? There was no interest, so you're not going to get documentaries or tell-all books or even any kind of a book other than the one that Bev Bevan wrote. That only goes up to Xanadu. So yeah, with that Jeff Lynne thing, I was hoping for a big block about ELO, but instead I get the giant block about post ELO, which I already know very, very well.
What I think would be more interesting rather than a behind the music type documentary is more of the classic album stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised that Eldorado or Out of the Blue didn't get that type of treatment where they did an entire hour or hour and a half long documentary just on the album and the making of and interviewing everybody who was around, because they did that with Dark Side of the Moon, even though they didn't put it anywhere near each other. Still got interviews with both David Gilmour and Roger Waters.
Well,
And with some interesting things about how they did it, even though I think they're still arguing about who actually had credit for what they said they did.
right.
But it's
Well,
still interesting.
yeah. Well, I was just searching through Amazon Prime and I found out there are like a whole bunch of different documentaries about different albums, but nothing about ELO.
I mean, it can't
And
be any worse than the Hawkwind documentary where Dave Brock refused to even interview with it just because they interviewed somebody he didn't like. And that would be like Jeff Lynne doing an entire E.L.O. documentary without Jeff Lynne just because you interviewed Bev. And
yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to talk to Jeff, Bev, Mick Kaminsky, everyone. They got to get this down because these people are in their 70s, and
I
some of
know
them have already died off.
it's amazing so many of them are still around.
With how much some of them have smoked, I know Jeff
Yeah.
quit, but yeah, these things are better. In my head, I'm thinking, well, why don't you do it, Eric? Well, I hate making movies. I'm terrible at interviews. It's a whole lot of work to make a documentary and money.
Yeah, first thing you need to do is go around and get people to actually fund your movie.
Yeah, yeah,
You have to talk to strangers.
yeah, and I'm terrible at that. And yeah, I'm not a documentarian. You get somebody who knows how to do that kind of stuff, and has the time and money to do that kind of stuff, and the know-how to raise that kind of money. So, yeah, you want me to edit the sound on it? Sure, I'm all in for that. But other than that, Night is Right, also from our YouTube page, a masterpiece, Eldorado. Yeah, abso-frickin-lutely. And we got this comment from our episode about Mission and a world record. So he asked some questions, so we'll answer it.
So Cosmo Kramer says, "Hey guys, enjoyed the podcast. I'm in the camp of those who love this song. One thing that's puzzled me a bit since I first heard the song in '76 is its title, specifically its parenthetical title, A New World Record.
No.
A world record.
There you
Sorry
go.
about that.
Yeah.
Hey, at least I didn't say New World Order this time.
Yeah.
At least I didn't call it a New World Order.
Yeah.
Which I'm still waiting. Which hopefully maybe that'll be the 50th anniversary release. No, we do not need Jeff Lynne to do a QAnon tribute. No. Okay. A world record. I was hoping you fellas might touch on this and what it might mean, including what connection it may have to the very similar album title. Any info or thoughts on what that confounded song title is all about? LOL. Thanks. I wait your response even if you got nothing on it. Let me know you saw this. Appreciate it and keep up the great work. Well,
thank you.
A lot of it's a pun.
Mm-hmm.
New world record. This is a new world record, as in what some of the younger people call vinyls.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And a new world record, of course, is typically means that you broke a record, which you achieved something. And then there's New World, which of course is the United States. So making a record for the New World. Well, I shouldn't say the United States. I'm going to correct that. North and South America and the Caribbean. That way I don't sound like I'm orbiting just around one country here.
Right.
So there's a lot of puns involved in that. And the song is another pun because the song is about an alien singing about being trapped on Earth. And so this is a record that he's releasing to the world, basically announcing that he's there as well as hoping that he can return to where he came from. But by making this, he's announcing his presence to the world. So it's a world record. It's not just a record for England or the United States or Japan. It's a record to the world, similar to The Man Who Fell to Earth, the movie where David Bowie's character is basically trying, and also in Ziggy Stardust, where Ziggy's trying to communicate through his music on what's going to happen to Earth and trying to warn them. Where Man Who Fell to Earth, he's trying to get it signaled back to his home planet, where everybody's probably already died. So,
well, those are nice theories. As for the album title, A New World Record, I think I read somewhere that, Jeff was watching the Olympics and, always hearing, oh, that's a new world record. And Jeff thought, hey, you know what? We should title that for our next album, A New World Record. As for a world record, the subtitle for the song Mission, my thinking is he's an extraterrestrial. He's observing the planet and he's, recording, writing down, or, talking into his, dictator machine or videoing for the files. Here's my record about this planet Earth. It's beautiful up here, out here looking on the outside, but when you get in there, oh my God, these apes are really up. So that's his record of the world that he's sending back to his superiors.
So there's a whole number of different. He's playing on all the different meanings of record, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both the album title and the song title.
Right. So that's our record for A New World Record, Eldorado instrumental medley, Zoom and Long Black Road.
Oh God.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to discuss the New World Order for the next half hour.
All right, that'll be in our next.
Are we just going to say we're done here?
I think we're done here.
I think we're done here.